The sheer impact of the Resident Evil series is vast and wide that has set a standard that truly revolutionised the realm of horror video games, with so many sequels, spin-offs, even other inspired titles and franchises to be born off of the success of this iconic series, which would also lead to fans and upcoming indie developers to throw their hat into the ring to develop their own versions of what they consider to be classic survival horror. And here we are taking a look at a fan-made inspired game that was developed utilising a customised game engine built using the Unity platform that tries to combine all of the elements of classic survival horror, but it also makes it feasible for upcoming fans or wannabe developers to gain access to the materials and the engine itself in order to create their own depictions of survival horror in the classic Resident Evil format. So what we have here is a fan-made rendition of the series that takes its inspiration from Resident Evil 2, 3 and Resident Evil Survivor, which also utilises assets from the three games. But the layout of the game and the story pretty much takes a unique turn based off of the Sheena Island incident seen in Resident Evil Survivor. Now this isn't a fleshed out or legitimate game, it is solely created by fans, but allows you to play through the majority of the Sheena Island area using Ada Wong, so you could call it Ada's secret mission for all intents and purposes. That will see you explore many familiar locations, playing as Ada as you are on a quest to uncover the dark secrets of Sheena Island. But along your journey you will cross paths with Ark Thompson, the main protagonist from Resident Evil Survivor. Even though this isn't true to the original game, it's more of a canon kind of fan-made spin-off, so just to avoid any confusion. But it plays the entirety of the experience from the classic Resident Evil format, while the graphics and the visuals are all in 3D, using the low poly renderings that would have been seen in the original Resident Evil engine. But all of the cameras, movesets and all of the controls are all utilising all of the tank control perspectives and fixed camera elements that you will be familiar with those classic games. This initial concept was originally created as part of a horror game jam, but it ended up becoming quite popular to a point that the developer decided to house it over on itch.io. There'll be a link to it in the description so that you can gain access to it and play it for yourself. Now again, this isn't licensed or endorsed in any way by Capcom. This is just a fan-made experience that does use a customized engine. Now it's not without its flaws. It does have some inherent glitches and fiddly elements, but in fairness, it's as close to quite possibly playing these classic games that you will get in the modern era in many ways. And the fact is that you can also buy the engine yourself. Again, there'll be a link in the description that you can use if you're an upcoming developer to play around with the tools and features inside, so that you can create your own customized experiences that would look, feel and play like Resident Evil if you so wish, or you can create your own original experiences as you have everything there to use at your disposal. So as you play through the game, yes, the controls, they're maybe not as fluent compared to classic games. There's still a lot of tweaking to be involved, which I'm sure they will do in later editions of the game and even with the engine itself. But you will explore again familiar locations that are seen within Resident Evil Survivor, and you'll have to hunt down items of interest, solve puzzles, gain access to more powerful weapons to aid on your journey, because you will have to fight off against different monsters. But one of the cool aspects of this here is that it does take a different approach in terms of the puzzle solving elements, as some areas that would be explorable in the original game aren't as easily accessible here. There's workarounds or there's things that you have to do beforehand in order to gain access to those areas. Plus they've added in additional content areas that weren't in the original game, which is really, really cool, that also involve certain puzzles that you need in order to progress. And in fairness, while some of them are straightforward, some of them aren't. Some of them are quite tricky, and you will get caught out trying to figure out what it is that you need to do. Even trying to hunt down specific items, it will take quite a few playthroughs in order to figure out what to do. In most cases, because there is people that have played this already, which you will find other videos if you check out on YouTube, and some of them have finished the game, so you will have to probably use those guides as a reference in order to get through the experience. But still, it's pretty cool in what they were able to do here. The fact is that fans are getting together and making their own customized engines to allow other fans to also create their own unique survival horror experiences. But it's always a cool way to see these ideas come to life, because it will allow fans to create unique experiences that, while tied to the Resident Evil universe, they can also explore other areas that had yet been left unsaid or even unexplored within the game's realm. You can look into the backgrounds of the characters, what happened behind the events or after the events of the original games, what they went on to do and so forth. So that in itself is really, really cool. Or even tell your own unique story arcs in your own personal style if you so wish. It's very, very cool. Now, it's not to say that the game engine will be easy to use. If you are a beginner, you will have to spend a bit of time leveling up your skills. It could take you a while, in fairness, to figure out what to do. But for more seasoned developers, we'll be able to make something work with this for sure. But again, that's totally on your own time and pretty much down to your own ideas and concepts of what you want to achieve from the experience yourself. But if so, I still think that this is a really cool idea. The fact is that you can still play elements of classic survival horror, but that add something new into it. It's definitely worth trying. That's all I'll say. Yes, it's not polished, it's not perfect, but it's still worth trying. And while this is a good concept regarding the elements of classic survival horror, there are still a lot more out there that we have yet to discover, which this next video will provide, where we will dive behind the scenes of even more interesting and unique and quirky fan-made games like this that will provide even more interesting and unique ways in which to scare players.